today I lost my faith in my previous knowledge that everybody had continued to pay attention in English class past 5th grade. Grace.
Hi, I've decided to become a full-time streamer. Follow me at twitch.tv/SerenityX, just like my TikTok, Sari.
I'll link it.
Oh yeah, follow me. I love playing Fortnite. I love playing Minecraft. I'll play some F1 2022.
I'll play with you.
Yes! Yes!
CatF1sh streaming.
Oh god. I mean, that's technically what we did the other night. It's just you and me. Except no one could fucking hear you.
I know, that was tragic. I was making such good jokes, R.I.P.
They were great.
I'm so funny in real time.
It's similar to the issues that we've had for the past 3 weeks with this podcast.
Don't even talk to me about
so, yeah. I will just quickly explain for everybody watching. For the past 3 weeks, we've tried recording episodes, and my audio would not record. So this is we're on the last fucking. Just know that if this doesn't work out and you don't see this, we will be having mental breakdowns because of it. But fingers crossed.
Throwing my PC out the window. I'm so done. But to all of our new subscribers and friends who came from my TikTok, hello, welcome. I love you.
Welcome. I should have done another.
You're here.
I should have done a TikTok as well, but it was fine.
We have time.
We do.
This week, we wanted to talk a bit about testing and kind of where we feel like the grid is looking to shape up. Obviously, it's testing, so you can't get the world's most accurate read on how the season's gonna go and end. But I feel like there's definitely an argument of you can get a gut feeling.
Yeah, I think so.
Then we're gonna talk about history and how it factors in to being a fan. And is it something you really need to know? We'll
Find out here.
Find out here. Right now. Well, I'm going to totally contradict what I just said. I feel very confident in who will be coming 10th in the Constructors' Championship. And it is Haas.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I know a lot of people have been like, oh, Williams, because last year wasn't that good for them. But I honestly, from seeing Williams' improvement in terms of timing and such, and just the performance of this year's car compared to last year's car, it's done a lot. I feel like it's improved quite a bit, and it's impressed me at least seeing everything that happened with them during testing. I don't think nothing major really happened, but just the consistency of the car was what wowed me. And yeah, I definitely I think they have a much better car this year than last year.
Well, and I think we need to take into account that there were a couple years where they didn't have the car ready. And so
yeah, I think 2019 they did the first day of testing. Either I think it was 2019.
I think so. I'm not sure. No one quote me on that. But to see them coming in and they're prepared, they're we have all our ducks in a row. We're here to test and make improvements from there. That was really awesome to see. And then in comparison, you have Haas coming in with this car that in some ways looked like it was slapped together with duct tape. I was this looks like a NASCAR almost done with the race fix-up job when they just start taping parts of the car together with duct tape to hopefully get it to finish out.
Yeah. And I mean, they didn't even have a shakedown before coming to testing. Their shakedown was testing. So they were miles behind everybody else. And I feel like they just have the same car they had last year, basically.
We've talked about this in the past, but so many people have said well, the whole point of having Mazepin come in is all this money to like help them get better, but there's a difference between like the way Williams has been doing it and the way Haas has been doing it, because Williams has been playing this long game, this very patient kind of, we're just going to keep charging up that mountain one step at a time, and Haas tried to rocket launch their way up that mountain, and it has drastically failed because they went for the quick way out.
Yeah, and I think maybe this is something we should have expected as well, because Williams has been around for like fucking ever.
Right.
So I feel like it's already been in their blood, and just like how they operate. Like, we're surviving strategically within this, even if we're not winning. Like, we are just trying to do our best, manage what we do have, so that we can get back on top. Whereas with Haas, I haven't really seen that with them. They're kind of like guns blazing, going out, doing whatever they can, like desperately. Very American, and just not playing the long game, not playing the strategic game. It's like checkers versus chess, kind of.
And I think the other side of this is that they've really dug themselves into this hole where, when they do inevitably have to leave the sport, it is not going to be gracefully. Like, it's not at all.
It's going to be messy. No one's going to come out looking good. And for the people I do like within Haas, I'm afraid for them, and I kind of don't want that to happen. I know that Gunther is going to end up getting the short end of the stick, and
I mean, he's probably going to get saddled with a lot of the blame, unfortunately.
Oh yeah.
How, like, his wants and his choices really only go so far. He doesn't have nearly as much power as some people think he does. And so it's like, a lot of the people are just going to slap all the blame on him. And I think that's unfortunate. Yeah.
Because really, I don't think he really has any control over financial backings and such, and financial management. To a certain extent, probably he does, but like,
he doesn't get the choice to be like, this is how we're budgeting all of our funds.
Yeah.
He doesn't have that, because there are so many people higher than him who have that kind of power and decision making and utilize it.
Exactly.
I mean, going to the other end of the spectrum, I think Mercedes is going to get the Constructors' Championship again.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, personally, seeing how poorly testing went for them, I was like, God, I need some like reassurance. And some people are like, meh. I'm like, no, I love them and I think they're gonna do great, but it's not reassuring to see them struggling. Even though I was like reflecting, I was like, well, this is the point of testing, to see how your car is, to fix mistakes that have arisen, so that when you do go on track and start the season, you're putting your best foot forward.
Exactly.
So while they didn't have the most, I mean, out of all the teams, they completed the least amount of laps. So while it doesn't look promising, I'm not worried per se, because it's fucking Mercedes. All right, we don't even know where their tokens went in. So that's also
done this song and dance before, where they're like, we're not as prepared, we're not looking good, and then they could finish every race at least 5 seconds ahead of the next person, and it's just like,
yeah. I feel like, if anything, if they actually haven't really improved from last year, and there is a little bit of reduction on speed and such with the like downforce changes or whatever, I feel like, if anything, they're just gonna be back in sync with the rest of the teams. Like, they're not going to be miles ahead like they used to. It'll be more of an even playing field with Red Bull.
Right.
So I don't necessarily think that they are going to come in last or not get on podiums, but I think if they truly are a little bit in trouble, in terms of speed and consistency.
They were so
that'll just mean it'll
ahead.
be a closer fight.
Right.
In the end, which is good for the sport.
Right. I mean, they literally were so far ahead that it's like
there was no way catching up. It was a battle for third.
Seconds.
Not even a battle for third. It was a battle for fourth.
Like, what is losing a couple seconds to Mercedes, really? If they were to lose a couple seconds, like, on their speed, what would that really do? Because, like, I'm just thinking about the insane gaps we saw last year. Like,
yeah,
some exceeding
they were
10 seconds.
Yeah.
Insane. Like, astronomical. And so I'm like, they're 1 second slower. What is that really gonna do, considering how fast they were last season?
Exactly. It was like if you were on easy mode on F1 2020 and racing everybody, that's what it was like last year. It's like you're miles ahead of everybody. You're lapping everybody. You fuck up in the pits, that's fine. You got plenty of time.
NBD, baby. NBD, no big deal.
Yeah. I'm not worried for them.
As for literally everyone else.
Red Bull looked really consistent.
They did.
I thought Red Bull looked really consistent. I mean, the engine cover flying off wasn't reassuring. Again, it was kind of like the duct tape in NASCAR, just fucking wrapping that shit on. I'm like, why did this fly off? What's happening?
I mean, I'm sure they looked into that. They were like, why did this happen? We need to make sure this does not happen.
What the fuck? Yeah. But I at least from Max, and I think Checo as well, they were pretty consistent all throughout testing. I didn't really see many spins. Mm-hmm. I saw a couple from, I think Max spun at least once. But, yeah, pretty consistent, and I think it'll be good. I think they'll be battling closely with Mercedes. Mm-hmm. I am a little concerned, though, with Aston Martin. I thought that they had a lot of issues, specifically with Seb, which wasn't reassuring at all, considering last year and how everything went. But again, it's testing. They're there to iron out the kinks.
Right.
So, but other than that, their speed looked pretty good. They looked to be on par with Red Bull and with Mercedes.
They looked pretty solid, and I think it is important to, like, in testing, give that grace period of, like, it's a new team.
Yeah.
I had the same view with Alpine.
I mean,
I was like,
it's kind of a new team, but also it is
like a brand new driver who, almost none of them have really worked with in that capacity. It's a brand new car for him. Like, I did, in my own head, like, give a little grace for that. Obviously, once the races start, I will not, because I'll be like, okay, we did testing, like,
what the fuck's going on here?
But in testing, because that's, again, like what we've been saying, that's the whole point of testing. The point of testing is to mess up, so you can know what is wrong and fix it.
Exactly. I think I stated this on Twitter, but I literally said, I have a feeling Seb's gonna get a podium this year. He's gonna get a win. And so I'll fucking bet it. I'll bet a tattoo on it. I'll bet my fucking left leg on that shit.
What are we gonna do for this new tattoo bet?
Honestly, kind of want to get his rainbow helmet. You think that'd be cool? Or the pink helmet. But I really like the rainbow helmet.
Matching Seb rainbow helmets.
It'd be so cute.
Dude.
I still have to get the George Russell tattoo, but they're coming. Stimulus check, come to me.
Mine's still here. All her glory.
Oh my god, I love that. But yes,
I do love it.
You heard it here first, folks. Seb P1. I don't know what fucking race, but Seb P1.
Are we saying if Seb is P1 or if he's on podium?
I don't know. What do you think is more likely? I feel like podium's more likely, which is...
Statistically speaking, podium is more likely. That increases the chances. Threefold.
I feel like we should do P1.
You think?
Because it's more, there's more, like, it's less likely to happen.
You don't want to get a matching Sebastian Vettel?
Well, I mean, I do, but like, I don't want to make it easy.
Okay.
You feel me?
We'll just be dirty liars, and regardless of whether or not he gets a podium,
we're getting it.
Anyway. Okay.
Oh
Tattoo
my god.
bet has been laid.
We've made another.
P1. We're gonna get his rainbow helmet.
It's gonna be cute. It's gonna look so cute.
Now I'm like thinking, where should we get it?
My ass.
No! I did last year. I had 2 tattoo bets. Most people don't know this. Last year I had 2 tattoo bets. Obviously one of them went through, but the other one was, this was after Lando Norris got his first podium. But it was, if he gets a podium, I will get the quadrant logo on my bet.
I remember that.
And he didn't do it, so I don't have the quadrant
You're like,
logo,
God fucking bless.
I literally, after, when the season was over, it was like a weight had been lifted from my shoulders. I was like, oh my god. Because the George Russell one is kind of like, it's a 63, you know, that's...
The number,
but the quadrant logo...
on your ass?
It's like, how do I explain my way out of this one?
Oh my god.
I wouldn't have been able to. That's what it is.
Anyways, moving on. What did you think of Alpine?
That car's so pretty. I was...
I'm gonna be honest. It looks cool. I will say more. I love Aston Martin's livery.
I do.
It's so sexy.
I love the way the Alpine looks when it's moving. That was what I was like so captivated by when it was like.
When it's yeah. And I think a lot
beautiful.
of the liveries look better when they're moving. Especially I will say Williams. That fucking car still, I'm like, disgusting. That car in motion, I'm like...
I love it.
You looking for a girlfriend or what?
I do actually really like the Williams. That's my hot take.
I will say it does look like the base game custom car liveries on F1 2020.
It's
but
the blues with that yellow that gives
the color combination is
nice.
Color
combination that harks back to their glory days.
Yes, exactly.
That's why I love it. Because when I looked at it and I saw all these people being like, it's the worst thing I've ever seen, I was like, something about this is calling to my soul, and I love it. And then one night as I was getting ready for bed, I was like, oh my god, I know what it is! I was like, whoa, I forget what. Oh. What year is it? Oh my god.
Oh my gosh.
I'm a bad F1 historian.
But I thought Alpine looked pretty decent. I didn't think they had any errors, anything bad happened. Their pace was pretty okay. And McLaren, I will say, will definitely have a few podiums this year. I thought they looked really sharp.
I think something about McLaren, everything is just slotting together so
exactly
well.
I was gonna say everything's just like it's like a puzzle. Everything's fitting neatly into place for them, and I thought it was like
I think Ricciardo has come in at the perfect time. I don't think it would have been well had he come in 2 years prior when they had given him that first offer. I don't think it would have gone
exactly
well. I think he's coming in at the perfect time right now, and do I think he's gonna get the championship? No. But do I think this is the closest he will have been in a long time? If not, this is the first time to getting that? Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
A super bad sentence, but
I get what you're saying.
Because there are a lot of people who
this is like the closest that he'll be to achieving what he wants. Even though he might not get there. Well, I mean, he probably won't get there this season.
Don't think he will. I think Mercedes is still too dominant, but I think he's significantly
he'll get
closer than
a lot of points this season. Yes, I agree.
And if McLaren keeps on this upward trajectory and he really enjoys the team and decides to stay with them and kind of, I mean, don't want anyone to take this the wrong way. Daniel Ricciardo is not old, but he is old for an F1 driver. It's not a career people do until they're 60.
Yeah, exactly.
And so what we're kind of like, I don't see him leaving the sport anytime soon because, like, it's what he does.
Yeah.
Because not to say that, like, the only thing people should do in their lives is have children, and, like, that's the only way your life can have value. Obviously, you can live your whole life without having kids, and, like, your life is still valuable and awesome. But you have people like Rosberg who decide to leave because he was like, I have a kid now. I want to be with my kid. And I think that, like, Kimi Räikkönen, I think his days are coming to a close.
This might be his last year, yeah.
Because I don't think it's unreasonable to be like, they have kids now, and their job is an incredibly demanding job that has them away from their families a lot. And that can be really hard. And so, with, like, Räikkönen, I am more inclined to say that he will be departing sooner. But with Ricciardo, because he's, like, single, I'm fairly certain, or he's, like...
I have no fucking idea.
Has no children, I know that.
He has no kids, baby. I don't know.
Daniel Ricciardo scandal. Can you imagine?
Honestly, I would be here for it.
So
it would add to the chaos of that man in his life.
I don't see him leaving fairly soon. I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
No, he's a talented... There's a reason why he's still in F1, and it's because he has talent. He is a valuable driver. He delivers results. He pulls out results that maybe shouldn't have been pulled out with what he's given to work with. So he's a proven talent. So yeah, him being at Mercedes, maybe in the future, but him being at McLaren is a good choice. And while he is old, don't count him out. Don't count him out in the game.
Yeah, no. Again, I'm not saying that Daniel Ricciardo is, like, on his deathbed. He's definitely not. It's just Formula One is one of those careers where you just don't see people staying past their mid-40s.
Yeah. That's average, yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot. Here I go again, bringing dance into the equation. But you don't see ballet dancers going past their late 30s, early 40s, because it's so hard on the body, and so is Formula One. Like, you are working your body so hard, putting it under this insane atmospheric G-force pressure. Like, that's a lot, and as you get older and your age takes its natural toll on the body, it gets harder to recover from the stress you're putting it under.
Yeah.
And so
this is going a little off topic, but that's one thing that I would be really interested in examining. I'm a psychology major, so research is really cool to me and really interesting. But I would be curious not only examining, like, differences in bodies between, like, normal people and Formula One drivers, but also on, like, brain functioning and like perception and stuff like that, comparing, same aged adults. I don't think anyone's done this study. No. You'd have to get, like,
a lot of
to be
grants.
Like, here's
Start writing grant applications.
Please let me examine you and test you. But that'd be something I'd be really interested in. Fuck it, maybe in the future that's what I'll do. But just examining it and seeing how over time it affects the body. Like right now, like, Seb in, like, 20 years, how is he doing compared to, like, someone his age right now in 20 years? Like, what's the difference is how does it affect them long-term, short-term kind of thing? So
yeah.
I just wanted to bring that up. That would be, like, super interesting to examine. So cool. Oh my god, I need to get my PhD now.
We've talked about this in the past, doing, like, a health-based episode of, like, how does racing affect the body? And we both did a little bit of research, and there's no studies.
There's nothing specifically on Formula One.
Or, like,
we would really Yeah, we would really have to piece together specific, like, obscure journals in order to get an estimate of what it's like. Like, there's probably research done on, like, G-forces on brains next, concussions, stuff like that. So it would really be us, like, piecing together information just to get an idea of what actually has happened.
Yeah.
And it's not like with football, with, I think, CTE, is it?
Mm-hmm. CTE.
It's not gonna. I don't think it's gonna be the same thing.
No.
But obviously, there's gonna be effects, which I'm just curious to know.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a difference between, like, the art of American football, which is literally just, let's take all of these grown men and turn their brains into scrambled eggs.
That's basically what happens.
Whereas I don't think Formula One is like that at all. But there is, like, again, like we said, all this G-force, like this atmospheric pressure that the normal human body doesn't undergo so consistently, and, like, they do all this neck training to help strengthen their necks, but, like, what are the long-term effects?
Yeah,
I think that's really cool to know.
Yeah. Also, like, physical, also, like, mental health. What is that like, kind of thing. So, interesting things to talk about in later episodes. But let's get back to talking about cars. AlphaTauri. I was really impressed with Yuki. Yuki really impressed me.
In my gut, I knew it. I was like, this kid is a whiz. He's not a kid. He's a grown man. He's a little bit older than me. But
he's, like, 21, isn't he? Or is he 20? 20. 20.
Because he's not that much older than me. But
he's younger than Lando.
I mean, I've been watching him, like, through the feeder series, so, like, obviously I know he's a huge talent, but, like, to see him in that AlphaTauri, just, like, whizzing around, I was like, you go.
You go. I love you. Yeah. Honestly, if conditions are right, we could see him on a podium this year.
Yes, absolutely.
We could see it happen. I think it'd be great.
He is so talented. And I will make this bold statement. I think in the coming years, he will grow to become the Formula One superstar that Japan has been looking for.
I agree.
Japanese culture has a huge fascination with cars and motorsport. And just throughout time, we haven't had someone with a lot of talent who necessarily either wanted to pursue Formula One or, like, there were too many barriers getting them into Formula One. And so this is the first time we've had someone who is from Japan, who is, like, got the sponsorship, like,
yeah, the backing,
has the backing, has the seat, and is so talented. And I think
he's gonna end up. I think because I mean, it's been stated multiple times that he's a big fan of Lewis and that he looks up to Lewis. So I feel like what's going to happen in the next couple of years is he's going to be posed as, like, the next Lewis Hamilton, not necessarily in, like, the dominance. Do I think he has a chance of winning a championship in the future? Honestly, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think in terms of, like, just presence and, like, spectacle, I think he might be on par with Lewis in those terms.
Already, he's a little social media genius. He's so funny. Like,
I just find him, like, adorable, but in, like, a sincere way. Like, he, like, makes me happy, and I, like, want to cheer for him.
I very rarely say this about celebrities / like, professional people who, like, work in the spectacle that is professional sports, but I genuinely like him. Like, I often am very cautious about putting that kind of, like, this person does really seem like a genuinely great person, and he does. So
he does.
I'm so excited.
We're getting down to the last two teams. Which do we want to tackle first, Ferrari or Alfa Romeo?
You know,
let's just get Alfa Romeo over first, and then we'll go to Ferrari. I don't know if I was impressed with them, but I liked seeing Antonio doing well.
I here's the thing. He's not bad. A lot of people forget about him and overlook him. And, like, if you go back and you watch all the races from last year, he is so good at overtaking, like, right out of the gate. Like, he has got really, really great moments. He needs to get his ass in gear if he wants that Ferrari seat. Because that's what he's going for. And I'm like, you gotta get your shit. Like, you're like a 10, and you gotta bump it up to a 12.
Yeah, he's talented, and if you watch him in the feeder series, you know that.
Right.
F2, like, he's talented, and he doesn't have the best car, but he's doing it. I think he's doing what he can with the car, but he's not pushing the car past its limits like you're seeing these other drivers do.
Right.
So I think if he manages to figure out how he can get the most and more out of his car and his abilities, I think that'll prove to not only Ferrari but other teams that, this kid's actually talented. Like, we need him. Right. He has the it factor kind of thing.
He's here for a reason. That's such a good point. I really agree with that. That, like, he's been pushing the car to its limit, but he hasn't stepped outside of that in the way we've seen other drivers do. We saw Checo do it with the Racing Point last year. We saw George Russell do it with the Williams. Like, he needs to get kind of that same energy of, like...
We can't settle for anything less than out of the limits kind of thing.
I will get out of this car and haul it myself. Like, energy.
Yeah. Last but not least, talk Ferrari. What do we think? What are our thoughts? What are our feelings? Honestly, I'm just gonna say this: that fucking car's ugly.
It's so ugly.
I hate it. The gradient is shit. It looks like a 5-grader did it. The green, why is it green? I saw, like, mock-ups of the thing fixing it look better. Like, why wouldn't you have just put the Italian flag there? It would have made more sense than this ugly neon green color that looks like Floviz that you just painted on and said, fuck it.
I appreciate that they're trying something new.
I appreciate it, but it's so poorly executed.
As my ballet teacher used to say to me, I don't care that you're doing your best. Sometimes your best isn't good enough. I like the concept of integrating, like, the old, like how they did the fuck was it? At Mugello, the tribute livery, 1,000 races, I think. 1,000.
Yeah, I liked how they tried to, like, integrate, like, the modern and, like, the old together. They just did it so poorly, and they slapped green on it for some goddamn reason.
I mean, it felt more of this, like, you guys have been whining about the red? Fine!
Let's slap another color on there for no reason.
It didn't feel like a genuine, we want to kind of, like, try something new. It felt like you guys have been complaining, so I guess we're gonna do this.
Yeah, I feel like they could have just, if they wanted the gradient, they could have done it better. And they also could have incorporated that ugly-ass green better. Like, like I said, it looks like a 5-grader did it.
Yeah, it's not great.
I wasn't really impressed with their performance either. It was just...
I mean, I didn't
really see them do much. I just saw a lot of spinning. But there was nothing that really stood out for either Charles or Carlos.
Man, R.I.P. Charles. Just trapped in that
That poor man is just suffering. He's gonna be suffering, and he's like, just get me the fuck out of here, please. Give me a car that runs decently. And it's not even that. I mean,
what? How long is his contract? Isn't it like a 5-year contract?
I think, honestly, I want to say like 23. I think that's wrong though. I might be wrong, but he's stuck. It might be 23, 24, honestly.
He's stuck for a while though.
He's stuck there.
I'm like, man must be screaming in his skull most of the time. I mean, no, I do think that he has a lot of...
He's passionate about...
He's super passionate, and I think he has so much respect for the history of Ferrari that he is, like, willing to tough it out to help them get better. I don't think he's the kind of person to be like, oh, they're not doing great, so I'm going to jump ship. I think he is the kind of person who's like, and I think this like feeds into kind of what we know about his life and the people he looked up to, especially Bianchi. Like he has kind of those additional factors of like
family and just
and this like
other
sense
factors
of honor.
I can see that.
You get what I'm saying?
I can see that. Yeah, I do. And I looked it up. His contract does go to 2024.
Dang.
Which is when? I
believe that is when. Are people up that year?
I think there's a lot of people up this year.
There's a lot of people up this year because a couple of people signed like 1-year contracts.
Yeah. I think either 24 or 25 is when the engine freeze is over.
Yeah.
So I don't think he's going anywhere. But on that same note, I'm kind of afraid that Charles's talents are going to be snubbed out in this period of Ferrari underperforming. Mm-hmm. Like, we know he's talented. We've seen it his rookie fucking year. We've seen it before Ferrari got fucked over. Or, I mean, technically Ferrari fucked up. Yeah, they fucked themselves over. But we know he can deliver results. We know he's good. We know he's talented. But his talent and what he can do is being bogged down by the underperforming car and the less than polished look of the team at this moment in time in history. So I feel like coming into the sport, he was kind of posed as like the challenger to Max, the next upcoming star kind of thing after Lewis. But I don't know if that's necessarily going to happen with everything going on and how everything's kind of worked out.
I don't know. I kind of disagree. I think a lot of people still see him as the golden boy. That's something I've heard him called so much. And like,
yeah,
this up and coming, like, not up and coming because people have been seeing him coming for a little while, but like, I think if he were, when his contract is out, to be like, I want to go to a different team, I don't think anybody would be like, no, I don't want him. I don't think any of the teams, I think people would be like, absolutely.
No, yeah, him. I agree with that.
I do see the point you're making of like his.
Yeah. I'm not saying that he's not. I'm not saying that he, like, Ferrari themselves is like affecting his talent, like making him a worse driver. I think because he can't get the results that we know he can get, it's dampening him in his prime, if you get what I'm saying. Like, he's gonna have less time.
Effect?
Possibly. I'm just worried that he's gonna miss out on opportune moments throughout his career to get results that he deserves and that he knows he can achieve, kind of thing.
I mean, like, I will be bold-faced honest and say that, like, I like Vettel a lot more than I like Leclerc, and that's mostly because like I don't agree with the way Leclerc has conducted himself in the face of global issues. I really don't. But in the same breath, I can respect that he is an incredibly talented driver.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
And this is a topic for another day, and we're actually planning this episode out now, but I don't think that he's a terrible person. I think he just lives in massive amounts of ignorance and just general lack of awareness. And so, this goes for almost every single driver across many series. I don't think they're terrible people. I really don't. I just think that they were raised in a very sheltered and ignorant position, and as adults have not seeked out information on like the way things are, because you do hit a point where you can't really use the like, well, this is just how I was raised excuse, because it's like The internet is free.
They're
you could
adults
watch this stuff
now.
at any time, and you're an adult. Like,
yeah,
you can't be throwing around this like, well, my parents didn't have a conversation with me about racism when I was 10, so like you can excuse my blatant microaggressions now at 22. It's like, that's not how it works. But like, again, I don't want to completely demonize them and throw them out. I think cancel culture is really toxic, but holding people accountable is vital.
Exactly. I agree.
Like, and I want to hold him accountable because he never kneeled, and that massively rubbed me the wrong way. And so,
yeah,
you will not catch me shouting out for joy on like Twitter, but I do have a massive amount of respect for how talented he is as a driver, and I do agree with that sentiment of, I don't want these years that could be his like prime, his glory years, to be
snubbed
out from Ferrari's lack of improvement.
I agree with everything you said.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
A lot of people won't. He's the epitome of pretty privilege.
He posted that picture of him in front of the car, and that fucking shit went viral. I was like, talk about pretty privilege. Everybody's like, I didn't realize F1 drivers were hot. And I'm like, fuck you. I hate you, Charles. You and your pretty fucking face. You've got a good jawline. I won't say that.
He's very pretty.
He's a model.
And sometimes he opens his mouth and I'm like, wow, did we think through that one? Did we?
Do a little more of this.
Use this thing a little
Close
more.
It. Critical thinking skills. I'll teach you them. They're not that hard.
A little more. Maybe I should research this issue.
Maybe I should not do dumb shit. Anyways. Let's move on let's talk about history. Not specifically anything of like majority in F1 history, but just in general, and why some people use it to demean other fans. So that was a big topic recently on Twitter.
This is a huge topic recently on Twitter, partly because a bunch of people. Actually, no, I'm not gonna go into that. It's not even worth it. But no.
I'll let you think this over for a minute, Grace. And just say a few things that I've observed. Very often do I find, and I feel like a lot of younger female fans will find, and just other younger fans in general will find, is that a lot of times other fans who have been around for a while will try and use history as a way to, I will use the term, gatekeep F1. They'll be like, ooh, do you know who won this race at this time at this track? Who finished fifth? They'll use it as like a weapon to try and demean you, to try and put you down and tell you that you aren't a real fan because you don't know the history. And I'll say it now, it's kind of like your history professor, like you as like a history major, if you're like talking to your professor and they're like, well, what happened in 1642 at this city? Like, answer them because you haven't fucking learned it that yet because you're a student and you're trying to get the major. They're like, you're not a real historian. It's like, okay, then you're supposed to, like, instead of like pushing me back and trying to like demoralize me for something that, I don't know, is really specific and oddly so, like, instead of like pushing me and trying to make me feel bad, how about maybe you help me learn? Because you can't immediately, like, I'm still learning shit about Formula One every day. Not everybody has time to comb through books and comb through Google to research Formula One. And frankly, not everybody's interested in the history of Formula One. It is long and it's depressing most of the time. A little messy some other times as well. But, like, the fact that somehow, like, there's a checklist you have to go to in order to be considered an F1 fan, a real fan, is extremely stupid. Like, it's just like, why? Like, why?
Well, and I saw a lot of people saying today, sorry, I'm trying to look for, like, a specific point I had made earlier. I probably won't be able to find it. Just knowing my life. In this discourse, I saw a lot of, and I'm going to say men, because I went and I looked and it was all men. I did not see a single woman say this. I saw a lot of men saying, well, that doesn't happen. Like, or they'll say, it's not a gender thing. And then they'll, like, oh my god, they'll claim that we're being, like, sexist against men, because we'll be like, you know, a lot of men have tried to give me a history quiz, and they'll be like, that's sexist against men. And I'm like, wow, there's so much undertone to that you're just really throwing that one out there, aren't you?
Thanks for proving my point.
Okay, but
they just come off so insecure.
It is about gender, because I have never, ever seen a male fan have to deal with the shit I've dealt with. Ever. They're not slapped with quizzes. They're not given, like, a list of requirements that for some reason, like, they have to fill out in order to validate their love of motorsports to other people. They're not perpetually called fake fans, DTS stans. They are not called that. I said this earlier, Shay. I love my grandfather. My grandfather is a wonderful man. He is... How old is my grandfather? He's 73. Just started watching Formula One because I recommended DTS to him. He got into Formula One through DTS. He could not tell you a fucking thing past 2017. Not a damn thing. Do I think that my grandfather would get the shit? No. Absolutely not. And anybody who, like, is like, no, you're dead wrong. Like, people would clown your grandfather the way they clown young girls. I'd be like, what world do you live in? That's ridiculous. Like, and my uncle is the same way. My uncle got into F1 through DTS. And to make it even worse, he can't tell you anything about a season past the ones DTS covered. Because he doesn't care.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody would say the things that they say to me to him.
Yeah.
And I can tell you that that is because of gender. And it's this double-edged sword. Because even if you do know the answers to what they're asking, if you say them, they'll accuse you of going and Googling them. And so it's like, you can't win. At the end of the day, they just want to be like, I'm better than this young woman online.
That describes a lot of issues we see within society. Because I'll compare this to, like, women who like having sex or have sex. If you don't have sex, you're considered a prude. You're considered this, like, disgusting thing. But if you have sex a lot, you're considered a whore. And it's like, you can't win. Same thing here. If you don't give a fuck about history in F1, you're considered a fake fan. But if you do actually take time out of your day to research because you find it interesting, you're accused of just Googling it to be right. And it's like, well, the only reason why you're posing this argument is to just make yourself feel better and to put us as women, as younger fans, down. That is the only reason why you're doing it. You're not trying to, like, weed out the fake fans. You're not, like, what's a fake, like...
Well, and, like, there's no...
The fact that people like have in their mind created guidelines as what constitutes a fan, as if they somehow own the sport and run the sport, is insane. And I've said this before, Formula One doesn't give a fuck if you're like the biggest history buff in F1 or if you only watch DTS. They want one thing, and that is your money.
And like,
they want your interest, your attention, your time, and your money. And that's all they care about. At the end of the day. So I don't know what... They do it for themselves. They're not doing the sport any good.
Well,
they do it to make themselves feel better.
To come in with what I love to do, which is receipts.
I love that.
At the same time, the way girls express their opinions and views on F1 should really be refined, because most of them are only here for looks and have no real knowledge or care for the actual sport, except a select few, like 2 or 3.
2 or 3.
2 or 3.
Jesus Christ.
Another one. Y'all are just mad you don't know shit about F1. That's why all you teen girls never shut up.
You think that I fucking... Oh my God. I literally combed through the regulations for I think it was the last episode we posted.
And I'm like...
I combed through like regulations to figure out what the fuck was going on with the engine freeze and what we can look forward to in new regulations concerning downforce and adjustments on the car. Like, you think I did that just to like look at cute guys and like try and impress people? No, I did it because I was interested and I wanted to talk about it.
Well, and then there's this other thing where it's like, dog, I'm putting together a map with all of the abandoned racetracks across the continental United States. Actually, no, not continental, because I found a few in Hawaii.
I wonder if there's any in Alaska.
I haven't found any yet. I found 2 in Hawaii, but they're both they're both in Honolulu. Like, you think, what do you think this is for? It's for me, really, what it is. I do it for myself because I like it and I find it interesting. And that's why, like, I said this in a group chat earlier today, and it was so ridiculously cocky, but our podcast audience is smaller, so I'm going to say it. I'm going to be a cocky bitch about this. I can promise you, all of the people who throw those kind of questions around, I know more than them. I can assure you, because it's literally an obsession for me. It's terrible. I wish it wasn't. It's an actual curse. It makes me sad. Like, I turned down hanging out with my friends because I was like, oh, no, I found a bunch of newspaper clippings from Germany in 1961, and I have to comb through them. Cool. And, like,
it's like, I'll compare it to, like, gamers. Because I very often on TikTok on my For You page, I'll find like specifically like COD clips of a bunch of like weirdly like aggressive men on that game just be like 1v1 me, 1v1 me, you can't do it, you can't beat me, when like a girl comes out of nowhere and like gets like top kills, and then they end up going to the match. The girl absolutely fucking owns them, like 36-3, and the guy backs out embarrassed. Like, same thing applies here. I know Grace literally spouts knowledge that I don't even ask for. She just like comes in with random facts on a daily, and I'm like, okay. So it's like, this isn't a competition, but the men make it a competition.
Well, and I've never... Because I don't know, I'm not trying to put myself on a pedestal or a hill here, but I don't posture with it. If somebody asks me something, I get so excited. People who like follow my TikTok and are in my comments will know, like, I get so excited when people are like, hey, do you know where I can watch some of the old races? I'm like, I will send you links. I will send you YouTube links. If you don't have F1 TV, I will be sending you YouTube links. I have a whole playlist. Like, when somebody comes and is like, I don't know a lot about the history of motorsport, all I see is an opportunity to share something I'm passionate about. And that is where the difference is. I don't see it as a way for me to wield power or superiority, give myself an ego rush over someone. I see it as a way to share something I really love. And that's the thing, because all of these people who are mostly on Twitter, which is an absolute hellscape of an app, will say, like, no, it's just because, like, I really value the history of motorsport. And I'm like, you don't. Because
if you did, you would be willing to help others learn about it. You would be willing to help
others, and you would treat it with more respect.
You wouldn't wield it as a weapon to try and push others out.
Because
you wouldn't be an absolute jackass.
It is such a humbling and sobering thing to learn about. Before we started filming, I said, I was like, it often is pretty clear to me who actually genuinely is like pouring a lot of time into this and who isn't, because those who do have such like an intense kind of somber respect for it, because it is literally marred in tragedy. Motorsport has a terribly and sadly brutal history. And like, if you start, what I've been doing recently is I've been looking into the history of rally racing and sprint cars and midget cars and all of these different things, and I just, like, every other day I'm learning someone's story and then, oh, they died.
Yeah.
And it's just like, and it just, it's so, it can be so fun and cool to learn about. You can learn about the Las Vegas Grand Prix, but it also can be really sad. And that is why I say to people, I'm like, I totally understand if you don't care. You find it boring or you don't want to read about all of that sadness, like, I respect that.
Don't blame you.
I don't blame you. And honestly, you really don't need to know who won in the 70s and 80s to appreciate the way it is now.
I think I saw someone say, like, oh, if you don't know the history of F1, then you don't know anything about it. You can't understand what's going on now. I'm like, what the fuck you mean? I know how downforce works.
You absolutely can.
I know how these races go. I know how the weekend plays out. What the fuck does history have to do with anything that's happening now?
Knowing the history allows you to look at Spa and be like, hey, do you want to know what the original circuit looked like? Knowing the history gives you, like, fun facts. And like, sure, it can deepen your understanding of how we got to where we are now, but you can still understand where we are. You don't have
absolutely.
to know. You don't. And so if it doesn't interest you, don't learn about it.
Exactly. Like, without learning anything about history, you can understand the importance of having the halo and why it is important and necessary now and protects and saves lives. Learning about the history in past crashes where the halo could have been effective in saving lives just gives you more depth and understanding. But you still retain the fact that, like, even without that information, you still retain the fact of, like, why this is here, why it's been implemented. Like, you don't need the history. It's helpful.
The central point is there, regardless.
Yeah.
Like, you can have seen Grosjean's accident and like Stroll flipping over and like skidding along the top and know, like, oh, the halo is instrumental in those points. And this is why I often describe knowing the history super in depth as a curse, because meanwhile, in the back of my head, I have a list of all of the people who have passed away who could have been saved by the halo. Going back to the 50s. Like, you don't need that. Let me tell you right now, you really don't need it. It is not necessary. And I only do it because I think it's fun. I do it for me because I enjoy it, because I've always loved history. And like, and I've said this before, I really don't know that much about how the cars work. I don't. And I don't feel inclined to learn.
I literally, I was going to, I think in one of the past episodes, I was going to, like, go in depth on, like, everything that's changing within the downforce and on the cars itself. And Grace is like, yeah, you can just talk about that. We didn't fit it in within the episode. She's like, yeah, I have no idea what the fuck you're talking about. And so I was like, that's fine. I found it an interesting read. Did I understand most of it? No, but I like understood it within the context of what we've already had.
Right.
So I'll leave my point on this with a quote that I think I've mentioned within past. I've mentioned it in one of the past episodes, but a streamer, I think he's also a YouTuber, he's also a musician, Wilbur Soot said this, and I think it kind of like perfectly encompasses what we've been talking about. Is like, can you name one thing that teenage girls can be interested in without being made fun of? And it's like, no. Can you? No, the answer is fucking no. You cannot. So that sums up my thoughts on just why people think it's necessary to use history as a way of making fun of teenage girls.
Yeah.
I think that sums up what I think. Do you have anything else to add?
No, I'm good. I think
we had a good discussion today. We had a really good one.
I'm ready for bed now.
I have a paper to finish. I have an hour and a half to do it.
I'm going to cut on my map. I've put so much work into this map. It's actually genuinely painful.
I literally, you know what, Grace, we should do? I really want to buy a van and convert it into like a home on wheels. And then we can just travel to all these places.
I went home the other week, just because I haven't seen my family in a very long, and since Christmas. So I went home the other week, and my brother and I, there are so many. I'm in the hundreds now. And the way things are looking, there's got to be thousands of these. There's so many. And my brother and I found one that was literally a 30-minute drive away from our house. So we went out and we hiked into the woods to find it, and like stumbled out across this oval circuit, and just it was so cool. And totally, I'm now like,
you're hooked.
I'm hooked. Because what I don't think people understand is that I'm not just like finding the name and slapping it on the map. I've been digging up old photos. I've been digging up newspaper clippings. Sometimes people's journals are placed into local public libraries, so I've been looking to see if people have screenings of those like available for me to read on the library, to see if anybody ever wrote about the track. Like, this is what I mean when I say it's an obsession. It's been really cool and really special, and I want Netflix to hire me so I can make a TV show about it.
I love that.
I
love that. Please hire me. I love visiting abandoned tracks.
I love abandoned racetracks, and I like to think that I'm fun. Okay, love you. No, on that note,
all right,
we will close it here. As always,
yeah, we love you guys.
We love you. Thank you so much for listening, and to all of our new listeners.
Oh, Lou listeners. What the fuck?
You are especially welcomed with much warmth and much love, and we hope you'll stick around for next week's episode.
Please do. We don't know what we're talking about yet, but please do.
We'll figure it out. Probably BTS.
No. When does it come out?
Dum. It comes out on Friday. We film on Wednesday.
This Friday?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize it. I thought it was next Friday.
It's literally 48 hours. You're so dumb.
Holy shit! I'm so excited.
Race weekend.
I forgot.
Oh
okay.
My God. Okay. Well, I'm gonna go bully Sarah.
I luckily have spring break next week, so God bless. Anyways, good night. We love you.
We love you.